We are here sitting with Bragi Sigurdsson, founder of Four Corners Real Estate. And Bragi, you're going to tell us a little bit about the market in 2023 here in Miami, Florida. What are your opinions or your head up about it?
Yes, I have strong opinions. So I'll give you a little background. I've been in real estate since year 2000 here in Miami. Got into it by accident and basically decided from the get-go that I would find a way to invest wisely. And if I was good at that, then I would probably have some value to other people. So I've been an investor and basically advising investors and advising people how to get into investing in real estate and being in the real estate game basically the last 23 years. As a result of that, my view on the market is typically a little bit more nuanced than most people that try and analyze the current situation. One of the things that I always take into consideration is the underlying factors of why the market is moving the way it's moving, what's really driving it, and how the adjustments in interest and fluctuations of people moving to the city and stuff like that, how that plays into the big picture here, and then where and why Miami has a unique situation in the real estate market of America. Because the U.S. has for some odd reason decided that it's good to be in states that have no income tax, and this is most people know this, but there's not that many states that have that, and Florida is obviously one of them. So whenever you have a little bit of money and you're getting older, moving to Florida becomes a good idea. So this is only one of many factors that drive real estate values and interest in Miami. It sounds simplistic, but it's actually a very big factor. For people with money, this is an extremely big factor. That's why we have seen an explosion in high-end real estate in Miami in the last 20 years, basically. So if we understand that element, and obviously the element that South America and Mid and Central America has seen Miami as their go-to place to put money for also decades, probably since the 80s. People that have money there and then political instability and other things have always encouraged them to get it out, and investing in real estate in Miami or some cities in the US has always been a very popular option for them. So we have that element too, and then on top of it all we also have European, especially wealthy Europeans. They find themselves wanting to get away from other Europeans in the winter time, and their options are either south of Spain or maybe Greece or southern Italy, or basically going to America, and then Miami or the southern tip of America is basically the only other option. So we always have a little bit of that influx. It fluctuates more, sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's weak, but they definitely are always coming. So those are the kind of outside forces that always drive real estate interest in Miami. But there are other factors that have gotten more prevalent lately, and that's the lifestyle that Miami offers seems to have gotten more popular. For some odd reason, people like to be in the sun more than ever before. We have a real strong association to a better lifestyle here than most other cities. Miami is still very walkable, has a lot of amenities. It's very, very pedestrian friendly. It's very nice to kind of have a lifestyle where you can walk out in a t-shirt and virtually all year long. So especially with the influx of COVID, we had a lot of people realize the fact that their lives are maybe not as long as they wish they were, and they started taking action in moving to the south or to better lifestyles in flux, because they were kind of more focused on the quality of life than they probably had been in a long time. So that obviously caused us to have an explosion in the real estate market in Miami in the last couple of years. So combining all these factors. So now people are saying, market has slowed down, we're not in the same environment, what is happening? And especially in relation to interest rate being hiked like crazy as a response to ongoing inflation and housing prices in general. So we're going through a correction period, as they call it. There's no question that higher interest rates do affect people's ability to buy. So our lower end has become less affordable, and mid-range, from $1 million to $2 million, also became a lot less affordable for people that are borrowing money. The rates almost doubled. So we have a situation where affordability for borrowers is controlling certain segments of the market. But for some reason, though, since we have such little inventories, it hasn't affected prices very much, because at the end of the day, that is only one of the criteria that comes into play when the value of real estate is looked at. Because when you have little inventory, the supply and the demand don't sync up, so small supply typically drives prices up still. So the underlying theme is that once we take a look at movement, we realize that the movement slows down, but the interest is still there. We're simply going through a period where people are going to try to, or hope to, get better pricing, which in some cases will be the case, but the adjustment will be fairly small. There's really no indicator that we're going to see a huge drop in prices. And quite honestly, the high-end market seems to be quite lively still, and not likely to slow down very much. So overall, Miami is simply too good of a destination to really get affected by the actions of the government to try and slow things down. Even though it's not immune to it, it doesn't seem to be affected very much. I do not have a crystal ball, but my feeling is that whatever impact the interest rate hike was supposed to have has already happened. From this point forward, I just see an adjustment to that situation, and people getting, accustomed to a new reality of higher rates for a while. But anybody that knows investing in real estate, it's really not that complicated. When you do a deal, you can always refinance later, so it's not like you're going to be hung with that high rate for a long time. So we see historically rates are lower, and they will eventually go there. So my 2 cents on Miami real estate market is that it is basically a normal market at this point in time, where we have people looking slow and little inventory, but slightly more inventory, slightly less activity or slightly less sales, but really more like a normal market. Comparing it to the last 2 years is not fair, because the last 2 years were unusual in every way, and we doubled our sales, and it wasn't a regular market. So that would be my conclusion, that we are still in a healthy market.
So in your years of experience at this, what is happening right now in Miami it happened before, or like all the people moving in Miami?
Yeah, so the last, I want to say around 2017, we had a situation where the market slowed down, primarily due to actually oversupply. We had a lot of development finished around the same time, and we had more supply than we needed for a short period of time. Didn't last long, probably 6 to 8 months, where we saw that, and the market was slower, but it was no crisis. There were some people getting good deals, but it was not really an overall crisis in any form. And we had like a stagnation. Prices didn't go up for I want to say close to a year or two, that we had very little appreciation. But then 2019, 20, especially when COVID hit, things started moving again shortly after it hit, by the way. First few months of COVID, people thought the world was ending, so we didn't have any activity for a few months. But that's kind of how it is. We're not really reading into the big picture. It's people tend to react to what's happening in the moment and thinking something big is happening, and then once the moment passes and they see that the other external factors are still there, they tend to get calm and just move on. So whatever uncertainty we're feeling, or people are feeling now, I think it's actually dissipating already. That would be my 2 cents on it. The last crisis that we had was subprime crisis. It was a completely different thing in every way. That was as a result of very, very improper and bullish lending that created a bubble that was basically created by the banks. So that's nothing that's happened today and not likely to happen anytime soon, since that banks are very cautious and the rules were rewritten, and banks don't take as many chances as they did, nowhere near. So we're not likely to see a credit crisis again, which in turn means more stability. And all the new construction that's being produced right now won't be ready for another 3 to 5 years, and pretty much all of that is 30, 40, 50% deposits. So they're based on having plenty of equity in the deal, so it will be easily get financing when they're finished. So we don't really anticipate any type of crisis when that that cycle ends either. And so we're very bullish on the pre-construction market, because we're going to see easily, for anywhere from 5 to 10% a year appreciation in those projects, because the nature of the beast is that they will follow inflation, and inflation is still going to probably hang around 5-6%. Could even be more, but so if you add that up to 3 years, that's almost 20% of appreciation for a property if you tie up the price today. So that's another reason why it's actually a good time to get into real estate investing in Miami.
How do you know when it's a good time to invest in Miami?
Well, for the same reason as I just told you, leveraging a market that has good underlying conditions. We have, as I mentioned before, there's interest from so many parts of the country and the world that drives the value in Miami. So whenever we have a slowdown, it's very temporary, because the underlying factors are still there. People are still coming, the city is still growing. And really, the city doesn't have much room to grow. Actually, all the new growth is vertical, and we have very little land left to develop. So that also makes it harder for us to create new real estate. So there's a lot of elements that are basically supporting the value of the real estate moving forward. And we're still affordable compared to a lot of cities. We're cheaper than San Francisco, obviously a lot cheaper than New York. And some other cities are way above us, and that's another factor that people, even though they think the prices in Miami are high, they're still below some of the other major cities. Not to mention internationally, you have cities in Europe and Asia and others that are way higher than Miami. So basically, as a conclusion, when you are an investor, and that's you're looking at real estate as your options, I think the main thing is to understand if the underlying factors are good, it's safe. It's a safe place to go. A city that's growing is always a good place to go. Obviously, you want to pick the best locations and buy well, because the infinite wisdom of the real estate investor is always to make sure you're buying well, because that's where you make the most money. But at the end of the day, when your underlying factors are there, it's hard to go wrong in a city that's growing. So, conclusion is basically, get some good advice and start going. get some real estate in Miami. I'm Bragi Sigurdsson. I'm the founder of Four Corners Real Estate, where we focus on you, your needs, your results, and your ultimate growth in real estate.